Super Smash Bros. Three words that have etched themselves into the minds of millions of Nintendo fans. For over 20 years, this series has been every kid, teen, and adult's fantasies come true. What if Mario fought Link? What if Peach took on Zelda? Who would win, Jigglypuff or the Ice Climbers? Okay, maybe not that last one. Nonetheless, the series has been a highlight for every Nintendo fan for every console since the Nintendo 64. But in 2014, with the release of Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, the series would receive another element, something that would change the game's legacy forever.
But there are even more coming post-launch.
Downloadable content, or DLC for short. A heavily debated part of video games, DLC was welcomed to the series with open arms. Discussions, speculations, and most of all, reactions regarding these DLC fighters have elevated the series to heights unimaginable. And from 2014 to today, the series has received 11 downloadable fighters, with a 12th fighter projected to be announced any day now for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Once this 12th fighter comes out, Ultimate will effectively be complete. The game can continue to sell millions with its 80 fighters, the development crew can move on to other projects, and Nintendo fans will have new topics to discuss. It's a bittersweet but appropriate time to sign off. Except,
we're happy to confirm the development of more DLC fighters for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Outside the 5 fighters included in the Fighters Pass, we can confirm that other new fighters are in development. The battle isn't over yet.
yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey, and today I would like to discuss why I personally believe Super Smash Bros. Ultimate should conclude with their Fighters Pass, as well as give a retrospective of the series' downloadable content.
Light will guide you on your way to the ultimate fight.
Let's take a journey back to 2006. At this point, there had been 2 Smash Bros. Games, and every character had been a Nintendo representative. Then, everything changed when the Konami Nation attacked. At E3 2006, Nintendo shook their fanbase by announcing Solid Snake as a fighter in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And in October of 2007, they shook their fanbase again with the inclusion of former animated nightmare Sonic the Hedgehog. These 2 characters opened the door for fighters outside the Nintendo landscape to be welcomed to Smash Bros. Fast forward a few years and Nintendo announces Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. While the names were dull, the characters included were anything but. Mega Man, Pac-Man, Lucina, Robin, Greninja, Wii Fit Trainer, Rosalina and Luma, Palutena, Dark Pit, Bowser Jr., Duck Hunt, Little Mac, Villager, Shulk, and the Mii Fighters. A whopping 15 fighters added to the series. While fans were disappointed that folks like Ice Climbers, Wolf, and Solid Snake didn't make the cut, they were more than satisfied with the newcomers, even if a majority of these fighters were from Nintendo. As Nintendo announced new fighters though, usually with the assistance of Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai, they started to witness something they probably didn't anticipate. Fans' reactions to the fighters and their fervor for more. Nintendo may have questionable internet policies, but they are aware of trends in the game industry and strive to put smiles on people's faces. Those factors, along with the reaction videos to characters like Little Mac and Mega Man, helped to create this.
Time for a special announcement! Mewtwo has joined the battle as a new fighter!
On October 23, 2014, Nintendo unveiled their Super Smash Bros. 50 Fact Extravaganza, and their final fact of the presentation was the announcement of the Pokemon Mewtwo and the introduction of downloadable content to the Smash Bros. Series. The concept of DLC was a win-win for Nintendo and their fans, as Nintendo could develop more fighters and get additional money, and Nintendo fans could speculate to their wildest dreams, as well as find more reasons to return to the game post-launch. The journey of Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U would go from mid-2013 to the end of 2015, as returning fighters Mewtwo, Lucas, and Roy, along with newcomers Ryu, Cloud, Corrin, and Bayonetta, rounded out the DLC family. Discussions for Smash Bros. Died down, and Nintendo would go into hibernation for 2016, before rising again with the Nintendo Switch. Now, a Smash Bros. Game was going to be inevitable. But one would think that it had only been a year since the most recent Smash Bros. Game ended production, so it would reasonably come later in the Switch's life cycle. But that didn't stop fans from discussing.
Let's start with the ports. I see no reason why the ports of Wii U games like Mario Kart 8, Splatoon, and Smash Bros. Can't be launch titles. I imagine it wouldn't take Nintendo much effort to completely port those over to the Switch, and I would be more surprised to find out that they don't have those ready for launch.
So definitely think that the Inklings and the Ice Climbers are a for sure thing if Smash Bros. Switch happens, which I think it will happen. And I think we will see it in this event.
Smashing you! Smash Brothers for the Switch will be announced there. It will be called Super Smash Brothers for the Switch. It will have a new CG trailer, like they've done for big character reveals before.
So, I think that the Wii U has great games, but there are a lot of them that they may not be willing to part with yet, such as Mario Kart, such as Splatoon, such as Mario Maker, such as Smash. So those games, and Pokémon Tournament as well, those games that have a solid online longevity, I think they're going to be porting them over to the Switch.
Smash, smash, smash!
Smash is mostly going to just be an amalgamation of everything that was in the Wii U and the 3DS version of those games. I do think we're going to be seeing Ice Climbers make their return. No huge surprise there.
Can I smash your booty?
Sorry about that. Anyway, on January 12th, 2017, 3 years to this date, Nintendo unveiled their Switch presentation. No Smash Brothers. Nintendo would continue to have presentations and directs throughout 2017. No Smash Brothers. The community was getting tense and desperate. How long would they have to dust off their Wii U just to get their Smash Brothers fix? But then, March 8th, 2018, the day had come, the internet exploded, the reaction videos skyrocketed, the Inkling totally died from that fireball, let's be real. Super Smash Bros. Sans Ultimate was announced. 2018 would go on to be the year of Smash Bros., for better or worse. Nintendo had an incredible 2017 with Zelda, Splatoon, Mario, and Xenoblade, among others, but many of their 2018 projects would be either delayed or released to middling reception. Smash Bros. Would pick up the slack, and then some, with half of Nintendo's E3 presentation being focused on Smash Bros. The reveal of every fighter ever, the game's title, and the revamped movesets would send every Smash fan into a frenzy. And after reveals of Daisy, Ridley, Simon and Richter Belmont, Chrom, Dark Samus, King K. Rool, Isabelle, Kin, Incineroar, and Piranha Plant, it felt as if Ultimate could stand on its own without DLC. But sure enough, Masahiro Sakurai not only announced DLC, but he announced something succinct: a Fighter's Pass. This Fighter's Pass consisted of 5 fighters, 5 stages, and music connected to that fighter. Fans would continue to speculate what characters would be added, with most of them anticipating Nintendo-centric characters, such as Waluigi or the 18th Fire Emblem character. But then, Nintendo, as only they could, stunned everyone with this.
We're not the ones sending a card this time. In fact, we've been invited. Invited to steal the greatest treasure of all.
In what was probably the biggest Smash Bros. Revelation since Solid Snake, Nintendo chose the Game Awards to announce that Joker from Persona 5 would be the first character on their Fighter's Pass. In that moment, fan speculation for potential fighters quadrupled, and characters like Master Chief or Nathan Drake didn't seem far-fetched. Nintendo would ride 2019 with announcements of the hero from Dragon Quest, Banjo-Kazooie, and Terry Bogard as DLC fighters. And that brings us to right now. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has 79 characters, and as we await its 80th character, I figure I list my 3 reasons as to why fighter number 80 should be the final fighter added to Smash Bros. Ultimate. Reason number 1, the development team needs a break. When Super Smash Bros. Brawl was released on the Wii in early 2008, the internet was not as robust as it is today. Heck, the Wii could barely play anything online. So when Sakurai and his team shipped Brawl, they were essentially finished and could move on to other projects. That hasn't been the case with the last 2 Smash Bros. Games, as updates, patches, and yes, fighters, have essentially kept them working solely on Smash Bros. For a long time. If we were to assume that it took 3 years to get from Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U to Smash Bros. Ultimate, then it most likely took the same amount of transition time when Brawl was done. That means that from 2012 to now, Sakurai and his team have basically been working on Smash Bros. There's also something that has been a hot topic item in the gaming industry as of late: crunch. Those times in game development when a game needs more attention and the staff for that game works extra hours to tend to said game. While Nintendo has had mostly positive press regarding Crunch, we may not be getting the full story. We do know of reports of Sakurai going above and beyond to work on Super Smash Bros. We can only hope that a full expose on the working conditions surrounding Super Smash Bros. Come back uneventful or flowery. Because if they come back negative, Smash Bros. Could have a stigma that they may never be able to shake off. The fifth fighter of the Fighters Pass could have been the development team's swan song and allowed them to take a break or work on other projects. And unlike the Wii U, which was effectively done in 2016, the Nintendo Switch is set to have a long lifespan, so the team doesn't have to report back to work immediately for a new Smash Bros. Game. Reason number 2. The fan base needs a break. Just as the development team has lived and breathed Super Smash Bros. For 2 presidential terms, the fan base has essentially been voting yay for Smash Bros. Since 2013. Entire channels, podcasts, projects, music, and more have been made regarding Smash Bros., and the DLC has only expanded that fervor and passion. And while that passion can sometimes unite a fan base, such as the reveals of Cloud Strife, Joker, and Banjo-Kazooie, other character reveals have brought out the dark side. No fanbase is perfect, and Smash Bros. Can attest to that imperfection. Sakurai and crew have been sent death threats over characters included and not included. The abundance of Fire Emblem characters have frustrated fans and have drawn lines in the sand. And while Bayonetta's inclusion was initially a positive send-off in the last game, her moveset has infuriated players to the point where fans actively walked out during a Smash Bros. Tournament in August of 2018. Now, this is not an indictment on the fans, nor should their behaviors result in Sakurai ending the DLC after 5 fighters. After all, he's not, which is actually troubling. With the Fighters Pass, there is a set goal, a destination, and therefore a more palatable acceptance of DLC concluding. Now that DLC fighters will not only continue, but show no signs of stopping, every future Nintendo presentation will have expectations of a Smash Bros. Character. From my perspective, Smash Bros. DLC cannot last forever. It would be fitting to have the initial roadmap of 5 fighters be the finale of the game. While my first 2 reasons can have personal bias attached, the final reason is one where numbers tell the story. Reason number 3. What character or characters will sell this game? Very rarely is a character met with unanimous positivity. The last character to achieve that was probably Banjo-Kazooie, and that honestly may never happen again. But Banjo wasn't the first DLC fighter announced. Joker was. And with the game about to launch. Literally 20 minutes from that moment, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was available to purchase. From my perspective, Nintendo had one opportunity to sell this Fighters Pass, and they nailed it. And the numbers back me up. From December 7th, 2018 to January 30th, 2019, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had sold 12 million units. And by April of 2019, a few days after Joker was dropped, the game had sold 13.81 million units. Now while that all sounds good, and may lead to folks saying, "Jeff, you dummy, why stop now when the iron is hot?" Well, my answer is simple. The DLC fighters haven't grown the game all that much. The most recent sales for Smash Ultimate, from September 30th, 2019, show that the game had sold 15.71 million units. In the span of 6 months, the game has sold under 2 million copies. And while we await the sales from the latest holidays, I would find it hard to believe that the game grew to 20 million, let alone another 2 million. Those numbers attest that most people who've been craving a DLC fighter have already bought Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, while someone could argue that Nintendo is making money by charging $5.99 for a fighter, I would counter that most people have bought the Fighters Pass as opposed to each fighter individually. After fighter number 5 is announced, each fighter will presumably go for $5.99 USD, as Nintendo has not hinted at a second Fighters Pass or bundle of fighters. As more and more fighters enter the fray, players could be satisfied with their roster and withhold their money, meaning potential diminishing returns for Nintendo. All these numbers lead me to my final question, as I stated above. What fighter, if any, will sell Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Everyone has their ideas, and while most, if not all, have a degree of plausibility, none of them look to sell millions of units. Sure, Nintendo can enjoy $6 per fighter, but they would absolutely prefer $60 per fighter that they come up with, and I do not see any of that occurring. Barring a sale or console bundles, Nintendo may have convinced the majority of their fans to buy Smash Bros. Ultimate, and an extra fighter or 2 may not suffice. Despite my stance, Nintendo has chosen to deliver more DLC fighters. Smash Bros. Ultimate will enter the 2020s with more than one additional fighter, and fans will have more opportunities to see their dream character appear. And while I may think this will be tough for everyone, especially the developers, Sakurai's words help put me at ease.
Adding more characters into the game means that more game worlds will be added to the series. And ultimately, that means that there will be an even greater opportunity to delight the fans.
The team is truly committed to making Smash Ultimate the most content-rich game ever, and I can very much appreciate an optimistic viewpoint such as that. Mr. Sakurai, you may never see this, but just know that I and millions of Smash fans are grateful for your team and the offerings you all provide. Thank you. There was one last thing to touch on. In his address, Sakurai mentioned that there may not be an opportunity to bring all of these worlds together again. While most people may focus on the here and now, that statement sticks out and makes me wonder, what will the next Smash Bros. Game have and not have? Well, I have my own speculation, and you'll see that next month. Thank you all so much for watching. Despite all my takes, I'm personally glad that the Super Smash Bros. Series will continue. I would love to hear your feedback and Smash Bros. Opinions in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter, tune into my monthly podcasts, and you have yourself a wonderful day.